and tell me when to start going live. Is it time? It should be.
You know, I'll tell you. I'm not just going to drop you in.
All right. I'm going to go live now because it takes about 30 seconds.
Yep. Go ahead.
It says it's working.
I thought you meant live on air.
No. Yep. Okay. We are. It's starting. It's not there yet. Redirecting LinkedIn. We are live.
Perfect. All right. Then without further ado, let's have a fantastic show. Here we go.
Thank you very much. This is going to be fun.
The following program is being brought to you on the Voice America Business Channel. For more information about our network and to check our additional show hosts and topics of interest, please visit voiceamericabusiness.com. The Voice America Talk Radio Network is the worldwide leader in live internet talk radio. Visit voiceamerica.com. The views and ideas expressed on the following program are strictly those of the host or guests and do not necessarily reflect the views and ideas held by the Voice America Talk Radio Network, its staff, and management.
It is yesterday's future, which is already here. Meet today's future, which is about to happen, and tomorrow's future, which could be just minutes away. Welcome to Technology Revolution, the future of now, where host Bonnie D. Graham asks savvy futurists for their predictions about the tech-driven trends that are shaping our future right now. Here's your host, who will take us into the future of now, Bonnie D. Graham.
Welcome, 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 welcome. Happy to be here. I've got a wonderful, smiling, savvy, smart, interested, and engaged panel. We're going to talk about a fascinating topic. We've never touched on this one before on Tech Rev. We'll have a little bit of technology and a lot of humanity on today's show. Our topic is the future of, women versus men in STEM, technology, passion, and creativity. And since I've invited all of these wonderful ladies back, we should have had a guy on the panel. I thought about that the other day to defend. We'll have to do a part 3 and we'll have 8 on the panel, 4 men and 4 males and 4 females. There we go. I've invited back my very special guest, Wave. I haven't done my opening yet, but I'm so excited. I want to just dive in. Alison Morgan, Wave, hello.
Hello, everyone.
And Cali Bird, Wave, hello.
Hey.
And Louisa Pateman, wave hello. And Sandra Estok, wave hello. There we are. Now, let me tell hello to our viewing audience. We're live streaming on LinkedIn, which I love to do, and on Facebook. So hello to all. Let me start out with a quote. Alison Morgan was very kind enough to send me some interesting links to articles about this topic. And Alison, I'm going to call you Alison rather than Allie. I'm going to be very formal today, okay? So I'm going to quote, this is an article quoting Diane Halpern, PhD. She's the past president of the American Psychological Association, and she's the author of a book called Sex Differences in Cognitive Abilities. That's really what we're talking about today. So listen up, everyone. I think this will make you smile and make you say, oh, really? So here we go. In a study of 34 rhesus monkeys, male rhesus monkeys strongly preferred toys with wheels over plush toys, whereas female rhesus monkeys found plush toys likable. Interesting. It would be tough to argue that the monkey's parents bought them sex-typed toys or that simian society encourages its male offspring to play more with trucks. Just let that sink in. Can you see the monkey parent going out and buying them a little truck? Yes, a Tonka truck? Okay, I bought those for my son back in the day. In adulthood, she goes on, women remain more oriented to faces and men to things. And here's the bottom line that Diane Halpern concluded. The role of culture is not zero. The role of biology is not zero. And everybody just let that sink in for a second. Now I'm going to read a quote from Rolling Stone magazine. This is an interesting article about women and creativity. Women are creating more novel art as a result of gender bias. Estrogen is an asset. Okay, guys, think about that one. A new study from music researchers found that women are engaged in creative fields like art, music, and literature at higher rates than men, and women are generally more creative than men. Interesting. Now, when I asked this panel to come on my show a couple months ago, that's what we talked about is where is the creativity in women who are really smart and who have studied the STEM topics. I have one more quote to read from The Guardian. This is from an article in February of 2019. The article, let me see, I don't even have an author here. Right? Oh, it's Gina Rippon. Here we go. Once we acknowledge that our brains are plastic and moldable, and she spells it the British way, Mouldable. I like that. And my guest is saying, yeah, we know what that is. The power of gender stereotypes becomes evident. If we could follow the brain journey of a baby girl or a baby boy, we would see that right from the moment of birth or even before, these brains may be set on different roads: toys, clothes, books, parents, families, teachers, schools, universities, employers, social and cultural norms, and of course, gender stereotypes all can signpost, that's a verb, different directions for different brains. Interesting. That goes back to the monkey thing. So we're asking returning guests. I'm calling them my STEM ladies. Alison Morgan, again, welcome. Cali Bird, again, welcome back. Louisa Pateman, welcome back. And Sandra Estok. And we're going to talk about the future of women versus men in STEM, technology, passion, and creativity, part 2. Bonnie D in the house. Happy to be here. I love these ladies. They're always smiling and engaged and happy to talk about interesting topics. And if this isn't interesting, I don't know what is. So let's go on. Let's do some introductions here. Alison Morgan, I'm guessing there might be about 6.3 people in the world who don't remember you from the last time you were on my show. Same thing for all of you ladies. So I want you to tell us, refresh us, what you've been up to, what you do, what's your passion for the topic, 3 minutes, and talk to those 6.3 people. Alison Morgan, I'm putting you on speaker view. You're up first. Welcome back, Alison.
Thank you, Bonnie. It's lovely to be back. Great to be asked back. Very brave of you, I must say. For anyone who doesn't know me, and that's probably an awful lot of people, I'm Alison Morgan, and I kill people for a living. There you go. I got your attention now, haven't I? I'm a crime writer. That's what I do currently, but I haven't always been a crime writer. My formal career was in nursing. I'm a mental health nurse, and in particular, I specialised in psychosis. And before a dodgy little heart problem ended my career for me rather prematurely, I was clinical nurse manager for a very specialist county-wide service for people experiencing their first episode of psychosis. And, you know, based on that, and generally speaking, people fascinate me, as does the working of the human mind and the body. So on the surface, that crime writer, you know, coat on, hat on, I'm a creative person, but I'm also a problem solver. I'm going to do that quite naturally somehow. I don't know why. I'm quite visual in the way I learn. So until I entered the world of nursing, I never saw myself as having any abilities in STEM whatsoever, and I had to work my way around how to cope with the maths and the science, because that wasn't my strong point. But that's the wonderful thing about brains. It's a cracking piece of equipment that we carry around in our skulls, and so the topic for today not only relates directly to how we use our brains, obviously, but how our brains are influenced by what we do. So the topic today has certainly thrown up some fascinating questions for me. And, you know, when we're talking about men versus women in STEM careers, there's that accepted norm that more men than women will enter those career pathways, which makes perfect sense to me. Now, not to everybody, but men and women generally inherently different in the way they behave, how they process information, what motivates them, what inspires them, how they employ creativity. So do we expect there to be equal numbers of men and women in certain STEM careers, or is that unrealistic? So lots of things to consider with creativity too. And I suppose I would see myself as a creative with a little science undertone there. So thank you very much for asking me along, Bonnie.
Thank you, Alison. I love the introduction. I kill people for a living. I've never, I think I've heard that on some mystery shows, some thriller shows, yes, but they're usually hardened criminals and not mystery writers. So Alison, thank you for qualifying that. We really appreciate that. Let's go to our second lineup guest today, Cali Bird. Welcome back, Cali. Talk to those same 6.3 people. Why are you here and what have you been up to and who are you? Cali, welcome.
Hi, thank you for having me again, Bonnie. Hello, 6.3 people. I bet there's more of you. So I write about talking handbags. That's what I've been doing recently. So yes, many years ago, I thought, what would happen if the contents of your closet, your handbags, your favorite clothes, what do they talk about when you're not there? How do they feel when you go and buy a new one? And eventually that became a novel, which I published last year. And I'm currently writing a sequel to that. Day job wise, I'm taking a sabbatical at the moment, but I have worked, so STEM, I've worked last 20 odd years in software design. I'm an accountant once upon a time. Once upon a time, I did a music degree. I then became an accountant because I actually wanted to get a job and earn some money. And then over the years, have sort of combined creativity and business. So I've worked part-time doing financial software. So I can code, I can design systems. In more recent years, I test them. My strapline used to be, I spot disasters before they happen, because, any of you in the technology sector, you've got to find the bugs in a piece of software or a new website. And it's really good if you find them before it goes live. We all know those horror stories of big companies or government departments putting something live and it's wrong. So yeah, it was my job to spot that before it went live. And there would be times we'd be in the process of putting it live and I think, just from the black recesses of my mind, think, let's just try this, tap away, and it either worked or it didn't. And I have done the equivalent of stop the presses in software sort of deployments in the past. It's better. It takes longer to sort something out once it's happened than to delay it and fix it. So that was that had become my niche in more recent years. So yeah, and I just like to, and on the side I've been writing. I also blog about creativity and encourage people to do their creative passions on the side. It's not always realistic to earn a living from your creative passion. Some people manage it, some people don't, but that's not a reason not to do them. So I love to encourage people to just do it anyway, just for fun and the joy of creating.
Thank you very much, Cali. Happy to have you back. I forgot about the handbags. I'm always interested in that very much. Yes, you're talking handbags. I have to go back and read all your novels, ladies. You all sent me your books. I've been a little busy, but thank you so much. Cali, I understand you're recovering from not feeling well, and we're so happy that you're well enough to join us today. We'll just leave it at that.
Thank you.
We're grateful that you are here with us. Let's go to Louisa Pateman. You're up next, Louisa. Welcome back. Talk to me. Tell us about your background.
Thanks, Bonnie. It's lovely to be back, and hello everyone out there who's listening. Look, I am actually a civil engineer, and I've been in the industry for over 25 years. And so this is actually quite an interesting topic for me today, because when I graduated, there was 5 out of 90 graduates in my year that were women. And so I have actually spent 25 years in a male-dominated industry, and my career path has been it's been quite interesting to analyze, I guess. And my female traits have actually been very beneficial, and I've had some very successful posts, and I've traveled around the world with my job. And I have to say that being female has actually been very beneficial in my career, not just because I'm a minority, but because as a female, I bring a softness, and I bring a social aspect, and I bring differences to the engineering profession, which has actually been incredibly beneficial. Just recently, I've written my memoir, which is Single Again and Again and Again, which was my journey to single motherhood, which I don't know if that's got anything to do with the fact that I'm an engineer and in a male-dominated profession and seen as a male, but we'll discuss that another time. Having said that, look, I'm really interested in today's topic because I'm seeing lots of young women come through now as engineers, and I'm loving that, and I'm loving them, mentoring them, and I'm really interested to see where the industry is going to head in the next 20 years.
Thank you very much. Fascinating backgrounds, all of you. That's why I'm so happy to have you all back. And let's introduce Sandra Estok next. Sandra, welcome back. Talk to all of us, refresh us. What do you do? And what's your passion for our topic? Sandra, you're up.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Bonnie. And thank you so much, my companions of this panel. It was so much fun last time, and I'm so excited to be back. So a little bit about me. In technology, I was in information technology. I entered the world of cybersecurity. My identity was taken. It was used by a smuggler in China. to bring women into the US. So I was taken from a plane by Homeland Security back in 2006. And, thinking about how you can, recover from that. For 6 years, I had to prove that I was the real me. Nobody wanted to travel with me. And, it was a lot. And I have to come out of that place, going to an industry dominated by male in the cybersecurity space, and actually bring something different out of that is not based on fear, that is not based on only you're going to get hacked. And that is being the creative side of me, finding a different way to talk about cybersecurity, cyber safety, and make it fun, make it relevant, make it personal. And I think you don't have to go through identity theft or cybercrime and learn from that experience. You can learn from people that already, went and had that experience, and you can protect yourself. So I'm very excited for the topic. I'm very excited to how we bring creativity and everything that I have done, whether it's my book, Happily Ever Cyber, my children's series, or my course, Inner Cyber, is integrating creativity in a field that's not include that and making fun and or having fun in an area where a lot of dark things happen.
Thank you very much, Sandra. Thank you, all of you. I'm remembering, I have to tell you all this story. I have a bachelor's degree in psychology, but I didn't use it in any way. And I found myself getting a divorce, my decision, 2 young children, 3,000 miles from where my family lived, very much alone on the west side of the United States. Family was in New York, and I needed a job. I needed to do something. It was time for Bonnie to step up and say, yes, I can earn a living. I can support my kids. What the blank am I going to do? 27 years old, never worked a day in my life. I was a young mom, and I was taken care of, and I went to very good colleges, and I had a degree. My parents sent me a bunch of brochures, and they said, here's some quick careers. What are you going to do? And I said, computers. Wow, what's that? And I went to a community college. I had to take 2 buses to get there. I was a young divorce. I didn't have a car, living in an apartment with my 2 kids. I know, Allison. And I went, and they said to me, well, you can enroll in the Computer 101 class, but it's already full. But if you keep coming back, stand in the back of the room for 2 weeks. In 2 weeks, most people will drop out because they'll discover it's hard. It requires a lot of focus and concentration. We'll have a place for you in 2 weeks. So I kept going to the class, and in 2 weeks, 90% of the people were gone, and they said, welcome, and they enrolled me. Now, our class was interesting. It was a lot of, I'll say, dropouts. We had people who had started architecture school, didn't like it. Well, we'll do computer. We had people who dropped out of med school. We had people who started law school and didn't like it. We had almost refugees from professional graduate schools who decided, what's this thing called computers? I want to code. So we went through class together, but if I remember, it was fairly evenly split, male and female. And I learned a whole bunch of languages, and the college hired me right on the spot at the end. I did a 4.0 GPA, but the reason I wanted to, and I ran a statewide community college information system as a programmer analyst, and then they put me in charge of the whole system when my boss left to go do fish food processing in California or something 2 years later. But I took enough classes. Because it was a community college, I was able to apply my bachelor's credits. So I didn't need to take a full curriculum. Remember, I'm a mom. I'm commuting by bus. I've got 2 young kids at home. One's in school. The other was with the babysitter. And I took a class in business statistics. And the reason I'm telling you all this is because I had been on the math team in junior high, which is now called middle school. I was on the competitive math team. Can you imagine? And I was one of 20 students who won a joint math award at our junior high school graduation. They put 100 of us in the cafeteria. We took a math test. I was one of the 20 top scorers. We all got the same, and I got a math award. So I love math, and I thought, computers, wow, math. I'm good at math. I'll do. Who knew you had to be creative, right, Callie? You take a blank sheet and you code. You have a problem. Let's go from point A to point B. You decide you're using COBOL, PL1, Fortran, Assembler, whatever. You have to get there. You create the path using the language that you know. So I took the business statistics class, and I aced the class. I got 100 on every homework assignment. I aced the whole thing. But the men in the class, and they were mostly men, were really, I'm going to use a bad word, they were pissed at me at the end. How could you do that? Well, they were using slide rules. I was figuring everything out with pencil and paper because my brain wanted me to do the computations. That's how I worked. I looked at the numbers. I didn't want anything. We didn't have cell phones in those days. We didn't have calculators like that, not that kind. They were using machines in some way to get to the answers. And I was just I was just writing down, okay, divide, add, subtract, yeah, do this, do that. And I was coming up with all the answers, and they really didn't like me because I think I became at that moment an early woman in STEM. Am I right? And the guys thought, what's she doing here? What? She's a mother. She's got 2 kids. She's acing the class. How dare she intrude on our world? So that was one of my early forays into the world of STEM, women's brains, men's brains. But my brain was saying, I can do this because I love it. I want to figure this out. I want to do it longhand, if you will. I'm doing it my way. So anyway, that's my little story. Thank you all. I listened to all of you, and Cali, I know about solving problems, and what you talked about is preventive maintenance on equipment, on machines. People are doing that now with edge computing using artificial intelligence sensors. That's what they're all about, is you put sensors on machines and they predict. They're putting them in cars now. Cali Bird, we have an appointment for you at Bob's Auto Shop. Take exit 63. They're waiting with a new belt for your whatever needs a belt in your car. It will cost you $22.32. We'll put it on your Apple Pay. You'll be at Bob's in 10 minutes. You'll be done in 22 minutes, and you can still make your appointment with Sandra Estok to have lunch at the restaurant down the road. It's going to come to that where we will be able to predict and make these things happen for all of us. That's where it's going. I don't know if that's good or bad, but I think it's right, kind of cool. So let's go on to anybody have any comments about my journey story? Alison, you want to say anything? Or Sandra? Go ahead, Sandra.
Yeah, I loved your story so much. You reminded me, exactly the same. I got a bus and I went to that same, situation that you had at college. And what is this about? And that's how I entered the world of technology too. Not knowing so much. And I love that you share that. And I can picture yourself in that room and that male dominated. But what, one of my quotes, and I just going ahead, but a little bit, because your story is so powerful, is the choices that you make. And how whoever was in that room, whoever, it didn't matter to you and it didn't intimidate you. You had that confidence. And I think that's one of the biggest gifts that, any woman that is listening, if you have that, nobody, it doesn't matter the gender difference or, whether you're tall, small, whatever the color of your skin, who you are, it's, yes, if you own who you are, you can do anything that you want.
I like that. Anybody have any other? Thank you, Sandra. Anybody have any other comments on what Sandra said, or do we go on? I think we're ready to go.
I fully agree. I fully agree with what Sandra just said. Confidence is such a powerful tool, and having faith in yourself is such a gift. And those two things combined, and just believing in yourself, you can do wonders. Gender doesn't matter. It really doesn't.
And I'm finding out that in the boomer era, and I won't tell you my age, but in the boomer era, there are men who are in that era who remember when they didn't want women in those professions. They didn't want us to be the smart one in the room. They didn't want us, and they're still out there saying, go away. We don't want to work with you. We don't want to talk to you. They brought that with them over the years. They haven't changed. So it's going to be the other generation. I'm probably going to make some enemies with these statements, but with the audience, but I think it's the younger generations coming up that will have more respect and will say, we don't care who you are or how you identify. That's a really powerful word today. It's a social word. It's a culture word. It's a personal word. How you identify, it doesn't really matter. Bring your brain to whatever you're doing and let's get on with life. Let's make the world better. Let's make things smarter. Let's make us healthier. Let's make us have more endurance and longevity as a culture, a society, a planet. Just bring your A game and do something. And I'd love to see us get to the point where we didn't have to have this conversation about the female brain versus the male brain. Okay. Okay, let's go on. And by the way, when I was growing up, my dad and I had a train set of Lionel trains, and we used to set them up in the basement, and we used to turn out the lights and crash them. He'd have a train going toward mine, and we'd crash them and watch all the sparks fly. And I loved to have all the little accessories, the cattle car and the whistles and all that. I was a train kid. I was driving a boat when I was about 12 years old. I think I was supposed to be a boy. I don't know. See, that's a very telling statement. Even though I was very much a girly girl. Let's leave this one alone. Let's go. I'm going to get real trouble here. Let's go to the quote part of the show. My guests have graciously sent me a quote from a movie or a TV fictional character or a song, and it has nothing to do with the topic until they tell us how and why. Alison Morgan sent us a quote from the iconic, the wonderful, the charming Winnie the Pooh. And let's see, Winnie the Pooh was released as an animated version of the story by Disney in 1977. Disney bought the original rights to A.A. Milne's story. It was written in 1929 in 61. Winnie the Pooh, also called Pooh Bear and Pooh, P-O-O-H, is a fictional anthropomorphic teddy bear created by English author A.A. Milne and English illustrator E.H. Shepard. Here is the quote. If the person you are talking to doesn't appear to be listening, be patient. It may simply be that he has a small piece of fluff in his ear. Oh, Alison, this is great. I'm going to say if only. Alison Morgan, tell me how you found this one. Take 2 minutes because I want to get to predictions. Go ahead.
Oh, well, I've always loved A.A. Milne. All those stories were read to me as a child, and there is such wisdom to be found in the pages of Winnie the Pooh, all the poems. So, you know, if you're really struggling in life, dive into a bit of Winnie the Pooh and he will sort you out. Because for a bear of very little brain, Winnie the Pooh speaks sense to me. He's also very generous and very forgiving. So one of my favorite little, I can't say people, little bears in life. And I picked up on this quote because I think if someone you're talking to doesn't appear to be listening, the immediate conclusion most people would jump to would be to assume that that person is disinterested or just being downright rude, which may be the case. However, given that active listening is a skill, one that my husband doesn't possess, by the way, because he's too busy thinking about motorbikes, probably, we should consider who the listeners might be to whatever we're trying to put across. And who's doing the talking? Those are also very important. The topic today looks at the gender divide, perhaps seeks to find out why many educated women, skilled, creative, passionate, are sometimes, not always, sometimes poorly represented in STEM professions. So if women are not being heard within the world of STEM careers, and it's not rudeness or someone being disinterested, what is it? So that's what set me off on this different way of thinking about things. I worked within a very sort of heavy gender bias area, nursing, for example. Now, in other areas of like scientific research, precision engineering, there's a bias the other way, so potentially much more male orientated. So I tried to look at things from a different angle, and that's what Winnie the Pooh is saying. You know, wait for someone to take a bit of fluff out of their ear, because maybe they're just not able to hear what it is that needs to happen that's different. So with nursing, history plays a part. You say nursing, everyone thinks Florence Nightingale, vocation, caring. The pay has always been a little bit on the lower side for nursing, but male nurses, and there are you know, a big swathe of male nurses now, they tend to go for the more macho end, if you like, of nursing, a bit more heroic stuff. So mental health nursing, drug and alcohol services, forensic services, where you need a bit of heft, shall we say, prison nursing, A&E, accident and emergency, paramedics, and more men, much more men, top heavy wise, found in management, so at director level and on the boards for hospitals and healthcare services. Their take-home pay is therefore higher. And then you've got a number of women in healthcare in the workforce working part-time to accommodate family. And this is because women are superheroes. How they manage to juggle all that, goodness knows. I mean, and your story, Bonnie, just represents that quite neatly. But what about these STEM careers? Women seem quite well represented in some of the biological sciences and veterinary medicine, that they're really well represented there. So my point is, in those areas where women are better represented, who has been listening and who has removed the fluff from their ears?
Thank you. I love the quote. I've never heard it. And we could almost use that as an excuse for people, as you say, who are just being rude. It's like,
Yes.
would you please take that little bit of fluff out of your
ear.
ear? I think that's a new one. I'm going to use that and let them. Well, Winnie the Pooh said it, so it must be okay. Thank you very much, Cali Bird. I'm moving over to you. You have introduced me to a new TV series I'm going to have to start watching, and I like Melora Hardin, the actress. She plays a character named Jacqueline Carlisle. What a lovely name. Editor-in-chief at Scarlet. Oh my, I wonder what they're talking about.
Made for
On
you.
The Netflix show, The Bold Type, ran from 2017, still here in 2021, produced by Universal Television for Freeform, inspired by the life and career of former editor-in-chief of Cosmopolitan, Joanna Coles, who is executive producer of the series. Really, really cool. Filmed in Toronto, Montreal, and New York City. It chronicles the lives of three millennial women, Katie Stevens, Aisha D., and Megan Fahey, all of whom are employed at a fictional global publication called Scarlet in New York City. Got to watch this. Here's the quote from Jacqueline Carlisle, editor-in-chief at Scarlet. "Don't say sorry when you have nothing to apologize for." Oh, I like that. I say that to people all the time. I don't accept your apology because you have nothing to apologize for. I must have seen the series in my dream. Callie, talk to me. Talk to me. How'd you pick this one?
Well, I just thought, what shows have I been loving recently? And I've had a couple of health issues, so I've been watching Netflix a little bit more than normal, and I've watched this show that's called The Bold Type, and have just loved it. And it's just been engaging and fun, and I just wanted to pick something memorable from it. And I thought, actually, as women, we do have a tendency to say sorry and apologise more, even when it's not our fault. I think we have a sort of an innate sort of people pleasing, smoothing it over, make people feel okay. So there are times when we say sorry and we shouldn't. And I think, so this was just a great reminder. I think that the background in the show was there's a young writer, one of the main characters, Jane, and she'd written an article about somebody and this other person had sued. And she's like, "Oh my God, I'm so sorry. I put the magazine in disrepute." And they're like, "No, your article was correct. We fact checked it. We did all these things. Don't say sorry for this, and we can handle this." And she's the one with the problem. I think sometimes as women, we could be more confident. I think this is changing with the times. When I sort of looked at sort of gender things and articles I looked at about STEM subjects, men are often more confident in the workplace. A man will sort of, apply for a job, even if he can't do 30-40% of it, he'll think, yeah, I just figured that out. Where a woman tends not to apply for a job unless she's comfortable, she can do pretty much all of it. She won't even apply for it. Men ask for more money and bigger pay rises and more frequently than women. So often, like graduate starting salaries and things like that, the male graduates will ask for a higher baseline straight up, when women tend not to. So I just think, this is a good lesson for us. As women, we have amazing innate abilities, but some of them we could improve, and this is probably one of them. Don't apologize for something you have nothing to apologize for.
You're right. And I remember when it felt safe for me to say, "It must be my fault, blame me." Seriously. First one, raise my hand in the room. Yeah, if there's a problem, I probably did it. Tell me what you need fixed. I've done that for years. I don't do it anymore, but that's part of our nurturers, right? We need to fix everything. We need to make sure everybody is happy and safe and dry and warm and comfortable and feels good about themselves, because that's our job as nurturer. Oh my, I'm getting snippy here. Let's move on. Thank you. Love the quote. I'm going to remember that one too. Let's see. Louisa has picked a very interesting quote. This is from the movie. The movie was Legally Blonde, 2001 American comedy film. Reese Witherspoon, of course, plays Elle Ellie Woods. I'll tell you the backstory. Witherspoon L. Woods, a sorority girl who attempts to win back her boyfriend, Warner Huntington III, by getting a JD degree at Harvard Law School, and in the process overcomes stereotypes against blondes. And she triumphs as a successful lawyer through her, here comes the word, unflappable self-confidence and her fashion and beauty know-how. And what's interesting is that it is based on a story written by Amanda Brown, a novel in 2001, rewritten for the screen by Karen McCullough Lutz and Kristen Smith. And the outline came from Amanda Brown's experiences as a blonde going to Stanford Law School, while she was obsessed with fashion and beauty, and she was reading Elle magazine, and she clashed with the personalities of her peers. So real life comes to the screen. Love the movie. Here's the quote Louisa has picked. You must always have faith in people, and more importantly, you must always have faith in yourself. I think that was my best Reese Witherspoon impersonation ever. Louisa, rescue me, please.
Oh, you did a great impersonation. Well done.
Thank you.
Yeah, look, for this topic, that movie, I guess, rang a bell for me. I really enjoyed the movie. It's lighthearted, but it has some really good, interesting undertones. And for me, being in a very male-dominated profession, there's a lot of I guess similarities in the movie. And what I loved, and you know, with the quote about having faith in yourself, what I loved about Elwood's character was that she didn't actually strive to fit in. And one of the failings I think we have as human beings is that we have this desire to fit in, to blend. We don't want to stand out. And I think that goes a long way, and it's a limiting belief. And so we don't go and push ourselves, and we don't want to wear different clothing or have different hair or have a different gender, you know, going into a male-dominated profession. And yet we have this Hollywood movie, which is basically showing that, you know, you can actually succeed and be yourself. And she was very girly. She was very pretty in a male-dominated field, and didn't feel the need to dress down, and didn't feel the need to wear a suit. Or certainly one of, you know, the specific color. For me in engineering, when I first started, almost every single male had a blue shirt, you know, so they all wore blue shirts and a tie back then. They had grey pants, a belt, and shoes, and that was the unofficial uniform. And so for a female coming in, you know, I chose to wear dresses. I chose to wear a skirt. And so and that wasn't a disbenefit. It certainly was a shock to the men where that was the norm, like the movie. But look, I saw a lot of similarities, and yeah, certainly have faith in yourself. I love that quote. So yes.
Thank you very much. And you're reminding me, when I was taken to task, I was working as a marketing director for a very large and well-known bank in downtown New York, 2 blocks from the World Trade Center. We'll leave that one alone. And I was told that they didn't like the way I dressed when I went to work. Now, ladies, I wore high heels or pumps every day. I was the first one there, 7:30 in the morning. I opened the office, okay? And instead of wearing my silk scarf tucked into my jacket of my suit, I had the nerve to put it up here and put it in my hair, the silk scarf in my hair. And instead of having a tweed suit or a jacket like the other ladies who were wearing $1,000 suits to work, at least that's what I thought the price tags were. They did everything but show you the price tags. Okay. I had some sparkles on one of my sports jackets. Imagine that, having a little sparkly something on the sports jacket. And I did wear skirts and stockings, and I did wear makeup, and I had my jewelry, and I looked very professional, but my own style. And the women in the department decided that I needed to be taken to task, so they had my male boss reprimand me. This was a guy whose white shirt, by the way, Louisa, was always hanging out of his pants. He couldn't keep his shirt tucked in. He put his jacket on the back of his chair and didn't wear it all day, when the women were wearing their business suits and their fancy shoes, you know, and all that. And he was told they were sending me for training in dress for success, that HR had a special class on how, Alison saying, what? Yes. So they told me, unless I repaired my style of dressing to work in this bank with all the work I was doing. I started a global newsletter and a magazine for them that nobody had ever done before. I wrote it, I designed it, I printed it, it wasn't good enough. It wasn't good enough. They didn't like the way I wore the scarf up here instead of down here inside my suit. So I was told by a male boss that the ladies didn't like how I dressed and I should change my style. I thought that was very, very interesting. So women in power, looking at other women, look at how that one went. Okay, let's move on. Sandra Estok has sent us a wonderful quote from Dumbledore in Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets 2001 fantasy film. I have his full name: Albus Percival Wulfric Brian. I like the Brian Dumbledore, fictional character in J.K. Rowling's Harry Potter series. He is the headmaster for most of the series of the Wizarding School, Hogwarts. As part of his backstory, he is the founder and leader of the Order of the Phoenix, an organization dedicated to fighting Lord Voldemort, the main antagonist of the series. And J.K. Rowling has said that she chose the name Dumbledore, which is a dialectical word for bumblebee, because of Dumbledore's love of music. She imagined him walking around humming to himself a lot. And here is the quote Sandra has picked from Dumbledore. It is not our abilities that show what we truly are. It is our choices. And Sandra, you alluded to this in the beginning of the show. Tell me how you found this one. Go ahead.
Absolutely. I was thinking about the topic and going back to my childhood and who I was. And I think we have talked about confidence. And I grew up in a very poor area. I lived in a shack where I was so embarrassed. We didn't even have a bathroom. And I was always having so much shame. So I wouldn't tell anybody where I live. I didn't have friends because I wanted to hide. And, hiding myself and thinking that I don't have the abilities, or I don't have this, or I don't have the right house. I don't live in the right place. I don't have, I don't go to the right schools. Like there were so many reasons I could have not to have the life I have. But instead of having, going with that, I made a choice. And I think that was why I picked this, because our choices, I think, define our lives. And when I was 11, I chose that I will have happiness no matter what, and that I will choose happiness. And everything in my life and everything that I have done from that place, and getting into a career in technology, getting into where I am, having, the confidence that you talk about, Louisa, and you too, Bunny. It's like when we go into a room and when we own that, because we're choosing that, it's where we get the power, where we get who we are. And I did not have that for a long time. And I'm so grateful I found it. And again, back to our watcher here, who, if you ever have been in a situation where you think where you came from or what you had is not good enough, or you're not good enough, or whatever that, it's just know that none of that matters. What matters is the choice that you want. Creativity is a choice. STEM careers are a choice. Like just find that passion, whatever it is in you, and choose that. And then things will be incredibly for your life. And that's how it's been for mine.
Thank you, Sandra. Thank you all. I'm looking at the clock. It's 42 after. We've got about 14 minutes left. We haven't gotten to predictions, but I'm loving the conversation. That's why I invited you, all of you back, because you're also articulate and passionate, and we can feel the topic oozing out of our pores. So let's see if we can squeeze in at least one prediction each. I put a couple into the chat for each of you. Let's keep it to exactly 2 minutes or less, because I want to see how much we can cover. Alison Morgan, I'm looking at your prediction number 2. You say, in order to appeal to women, creative jobs in STEM careers will be actively advertised as such within secondary school education, producing a better gender balance in STEM subjects chosen by students. That's a big topic, but I want you to keep it to about 2 minutes. Alison, go.
I will keep this short, sweet, and to the point. School is where we need to do the work to encourage girls, young ladies, people about to choose topics and maybe verging on the chickening out and going down the easy route, and make them think about their career choices in a slightly different way. So I did a little bit of mooching around on the internet, like I do, and thought, where's the balance here between those of us who think we're creative and those of us who might have also a bit of talent with maybe one of the STEM subjects? We might not be genius, but out there, what I discovered are some really, really interesting career choices. Here's my point. I've got to read this because I will get it wrong otherwise. a science illustrator. That's art and science. How wonderful is that if you're very artistic, which I'm not. A science communicator. Who knew there was such a thing? Words and science. A heart is a pump. How do you communicate science to other people, whether you're doing a copy for, a magazine article or whatever? A science communicator. Wow, I didn't even know existed. Things like a sound engineer. How about this one? A biomedical animator. Way up. So there are your computer skills, your artistic skills, and your understanding of science. Wow. Data visualization. Slightly lost me on that one. I was thinking, oh, but I think it's like the next step up from pie charts. And that, I don't really know. So, but I'm throwing it out there because I'm sure the ladies on the panel, one of them will understand what all this means. But this is the one that got me. I thought, oh, this would be good. Maths and dance can be combined within biomechanics. Wow. Have those conversations with people in schools, with young people, get them enthusiastic about these as options, because then, as Sandra was saying, people will know what their choices are. Then they can have some choices. They can drive themselves, and maybe their self-belief will improve when they think, actually, there are other things out there that I can do.
Thank you, Alison.
Combine both.
Thank you. I want to apply for some of those jobs.
Yeah, me too.
I really,
Maths and dance. Yeah.
I recognized a lot of those, and they're very, very interesting ways of combining different parts of different brains into different professions that need those touches, if you will, need those aspects. Cali, I picked prediction number 1 as I'm looking at it. This might have been from your original set of predictions you sent me, but I love this one anyway. So Cali, take about 2 minutes. You say there will be an increasing recognition that long hours and hustle culture just lead to burnout and not increased productivity. I'm going to leave it there. Cali, this applies to everyone, so let's take this one. Go ahead, Cali Bird.
Yeah, oh gosh, sorry. Yeah, I think we are seeing increasingly, we've seen it in the pandemic, that I've read a blog today, the death of hustle culture. I've always been someone who's been quite self-motivated. I've done side projects around my day job, and that's, and a lot of writers do that. So, you're always doing stuff on the side, working extra. And we have had this thing, entrepreneurs, some sort of well-known names. Oh my God, you have to earn, you have to work 100 hours a week or you'll never make it. And I think we are turning away from that. The pandemic has made us see that. And I think women have always seen this. I don't think it's a recent thing. And again, it has played out. Often, women do go into STEM subjects. Often there are more women graduates in some subjects. But by the time they go through the workplace and reach middle management, women look at this often a male-dominated workplace or politics, or the way it runs actually suits men better than women. And they say, this is hurting my life. I can't combine this with being a mother or my other responsibilities. So they step away, or they do it differently. They do it part-time. They become entrepreneurs. So women have always been doing this, and I think again we're leading away with this. We've probably all seen blogs and seen on the news, this term, I love it, the Great Resignation, which again has come about as part of the pandemic. And according to Forbes magazine, there are more women, saying I'm going to quit my job and do it a different way than there are men. And we've seen in the summer, watching the tennis and stuff, Naomi Osaka it was back June time in the French Open, saying, I'm sorry, my mental health isn't up to this. I'm going to step away from this tournament. I can't do it the way you want me to do it. And we're starting to see that be applauded now. And so, women are leading in that. And perhaps I think that everything's up for grabs, isn't it? The way the world works at the moment, and we are seeing change.
I'm glad you brought that in, the idea of women being at the forefront of saying mental health should be part of everybody's job and part of our I don't like the word entitlement, but part of what we should be allowing ourselves to embrace and to experience. We need to pay more attention to mental health, period, end of story. Yes, absolutely. We saw it in tennis, we saw it in gymnastics, we saw it in a lot of fields this summer, right? Yes, I can't do that. I've got the wheelies or the...
Oh yes, Simone Biles.
Simone Biles, very dramatic.
Yeah.
When people at the top of their game, have worked a lifetime, say, no, I can't do it. everybody pays attention all of a sudden in their moment of need, their moment of horror, if you will, personal. OMG, what? Anyway, let's move on. Louise Pateman, Louisa, I'm looking at your prediction number 2. I love this one. You say you predict the promotion of women in STEM careers in television and on social media will see an increase in younger girls who want to follow a STEM career path. Louisa, unpack for me, please.
Yeah, look, it's interesting how media and society can mold you, right? And so when you see things on television, or you see, I guess, your influencers and your role models doing things, it becomes normal. So it normalizes it. So it's, and I guess that goes with what I did with my book, becoming a single mother by choice. The whole reason I wrote the book was to normalize it. And so the more something is out there, so if we see more women in STEM careers on television and in social media, it just becomes the norm. And so you're not actually going against the grain, so there's all these subliminal messages, and then you can, as a young girl, you can visualize yourself in that because you're already seeing someone else do it. And they say that you have a modeling period in our life. And so you have your imprint period from 0 to 7, and from 8 to about 12, you have this model period where young children look at someone and they're encouraged and they like to model that person. And so if we have more women in STEM visual and in media and out there, then it just becomes what young girls will want to do. And so it will normalize it, and it will just be something that is, instead of something that you have to actually break into. And so I'm seeing it in some of the STEM areas in television. I'd love to see more engineering. As an engineer, I'd love to see more females in engineering positions, but they're certainly coming through. And I do think that it inspires young girls to then follow suit, and they go, oh, I think that's fantastic. And then they have that as a career path.
Thank you very much. Good going. Let's see if we can squeeze in a couple more predictions. Sandra Estok, I'm looking at number 3. You say, oh dear, for the next 5 years, Sandra predicts, men will continue to lead STEM occupations, especially in computer and engineering jobs. Unless a significant shift happens, women will continue to have less than 25% of that workforce. Sandra, the warning bell, talk to us.
Yeah, I love that we can change this prediction, and that's what I'm hoping. And I want to thank you, Bonnie, because this panel and the work that you are doing, the work that each of us is doing, is changing. It's gonna be what that shift for that young girl or for that person, like Louise was saying. The more we are out there, the more we can be showing how different and how fun it is to be in technology, and how, the personality that you don't have to wear the suit that everyone else is wearing. You don't have to have your hair in a certain way, or, you wear makeup. You just have to be you. And I think that's a shift. And I love that you said, Louise, about social media, about TV, about being out there. I think when we put ourselves out there, it's not just for us, it's for that person that is watching, for that kid that is watching, for that girl that is watching. And if we come from that place, I think that this shift will really happen, and we will see more women in technology, doing cybersecurity, doing information technology, and doing all the different areas that computing and engineering has to offer. And if that is you, just know that you're going to have a wonderful time.
There you go. And we're just about out of time. I do want to pick one more here from Alison Morgan, but I have a comment on what you said, Sandra, really fast. I'm thinking it's both sides of the coin. It's, will girls, women, people with a female brain, I don't know how to say this anymore, will they enjoy their lives more if they get into these fields that they thought were closed off to them? And will these professional fields benefit from their way of thinking, their way of creating? I think it's a two-sided coin. Will the person benefit, and will the profession benefit, and will everybody benefit? It's not just you need to take a job in this because they need you because you have a female brain. It's You'll love what you do. Sandra, you brought this out. Allison, I can give you exactly 1 minute for this. I know, but here I've got to read this one. Allison says courses in forensic science will continue to grow and attract more women. Here's the caveat because more women read crime stories than men, and crime writers are constantly needing to keep up with advances in forensic science. 1 minute, Allison, please. That's all I've got. Go ahead.
Oh, no problem at all. This is a bit of a personal one for me. If you ever sit down to write a crime novel, it will very, very quickly occur to you that you need to have an understanding of science, engineering, technology, maths even play a part. What time did the murder take place? Blah, blah, blah. Women love crime fiction, and it's a safe way to be scared and be entertained. And they're heading off to do courses on forensic science because, they could get a job as a CSI.
Thank you. Thank
There
you.
you go, that
She
quick.
did it 1 minute. Allison talked for 1 minute. Everybody give her a round of applause. Thank you. Ladies, I appreciate you so much. I've had too good a time. This show, you just gave me such a boost, such a lift. I really appreciate all of you. Alison Morgan, thank you for suggesting we take the topic into that brain versus brain. I won't say which one's approach. Thank you very much, Cali Bird. I'm glad you're well and you could join us. Louisa Bateman, we're so happy you're here, and I love the special effects on your Zoom video. It's very beautiful. You look like a French painting. And Sandra Estok, we're glad you're safe from cybercrime and everybody is good. And a shout out to Aaron Keller, our engineer extra. Everybody say thank you, Aaron. 1, 2, 3. Thank you, Aaron.
Thank you, Aaron.
Thank you, Aaron. I told you he was 26 when he started working with me, and he told me this Friday he's going to turn 63. I put him through his paces.
Wow.
Happy birthday, Aaron. And ladies, I want you all to raise your hand. Don't go away because we're going to take pictures after. Raise your hand. Come on, raise your hand. I want you to wag your finger, everybody. If somebody comes to you right now and says, what are you talking about? The future is already here. I want you to say, no, no, no. Say with me, 1, 2, 3. No, no,
No,
no.
no.
That was yesterday's future. Today's future hasn't happened yet. And we're all here to make sure it's a better one. Everybody wave goodbye. Bonnie D. Graham signing off. Bye-bye. Bye, Facebook. Bye, LinkedIn. Bye, Voice America. Bye.
All clear. Great show.
Wonderful. Let me stop the streaming. Bye, streaming.
All right, Bonnie, I will